Savage is now calling in right now. Let's get him on. And ladies and gentlemen, making his return to the show all the way from North Dakota. I interviewed this man early this year. I'm joined with Savage right here, right now. What's going on, Savage? And welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
And thank you for
Yeah, we just talked over Facebook about a week ago or something like that. I think
yes, it
pretty
was.
close to that. So yeah.
Yes. So with that said, man, let's get caught up with you real quick. Just let the people know what you've been up to since the last time you've been on the show.
Well, I think the last time I was on was March or April-ish. They were doing the TNA gut check brackets and everything, and the first round of brackets went downhill. I guess they restarted it, and I came up fourth in my bracket. So, and I never heard anything, after that. I really don't know what TNA did with gut check. I never was contacted by anybody, and I really, they weren't really pushing much on TV for it, so I don't know. I've been pretty much up here in North Dakota working for Northern Outlaw Wrestling. I've done a couple other promotions over in Minnesota and on the eastern side of North Dakota, Northern Star Entertainment Pro Wrestling. Down in the Twin Cities, Born Champions Wrestling. I've been down there a few times in the past year, so I've just been trying to get around as much as I can up here in this area.
That's great to hear, man. And as far as gut check is concerned, like I still don't know who actually won that whole overall tournament bracket thing. I have no clue. And gut and TNA has pretty much put gut check to the back burner. I mean, I like the idea. I like the concept. You're getting indie talent to be on national television to compete for a contract. But then I guess they just backed off from it and just going to rely more on the current roster.
Right.
It's just
Yeah, I don't know if anybody that I've seen in the brackets even made it to TV. I haven't watched. I'll be honest with you. I haven't watched TNA in probably 6 months. I think the last Impact I think I watched had Scrap Iron on it. You know what I mean? And that was like 6 months ago, I think. Adam Pearce. And he wasn't even in the brackets. He had a gut check match on TV, but he wasn't even in the brackets. But I was happy to see him on because he deserved to get national television coverage. I mean, in my opinion, he's a guy I like to watch. His work, and I've looked up to him and all that. But the thing is with the gut check, everybody that I seen on TV that had a gut check match wasn't even in the brackets. So that's what kind of confused me about the whole thing. And even other guys I know in the indie scene up here, and even guys as far down as Texas and Oklahoma that were in gut check with me, they couldn't figure it out either. How come nobody that's actually doing the gut checks is getting on TV? I don't know. It is what it is. TNA has some kind of a plan. I don't know what it was. I don't know if any of us will ever find out what it was, but it is what it is.
Like you say, it is what it is. And to this day, I think Adam Pearce got robbed of his opportunity. He pulled out a hell of a good performance in his match, and he didn't get picked. So,
right.
So,
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't really know what I'm almost lost for words when it comes to that because, like I said, I'm glad he got that national spotlight. He got to be on national TV and everything, but he should have been there a long time ago. You know what I mean? And he should have been the main staple, in my opinion. But to me, Adam Pearce, he's been in the Indies, but he's so well known that I would consider him a guy that should be above the Indies. I mean, any pro wrestling fan knows who he is. So to me, the gut check matches should have been for strictly indie guys. You know, I mean, like I said, Adam Pearce works in the indies, but he should have been to that next level, in my opinion. I mean, that's my opinion about it. But
Hey
you
man,
know,
I completely agree with you, man. 100% on that one. It's just I think maybe they should have just let the gut check stick to guys that maybe have 4 or 5 plus years experience instead of just anyone. But I guess we'll
right?
never know what they really wanted to go from there. But enough about gut check because as far as I'm concerned, it's a thing of the past. Let's focus more on you. You work for a company, Northern Outlaw Wrestling. Talk about that company and what's it like working with them.
Um, Northern Outlaw Wrestling has been around up here in North Dakota since December of 2008, I believe, was their first event. And that's before I even broke into the business. I didn't start training to be a pro wrestler until their second event, which was 2009. I started training, and then about 6 months later, I was actually an active wrestler on the roster. So I've been with them since pretty much the beginning. I work for other companies if they reach out to me and book me for events. But every Northern Outlaw Wrestling show since June of 2009 I've been a part of, and I'm very grateful for that. It's the only promotion in the state of North Dakota. Its home office is right here in my hometown of Minot, North Dakota. I'm pretty proud of that. I'm pretty proud to be a part of a company that is based out of my hometown, and I'm proud to come through the curtain every time when my music hits and be announced for my hometown. No matter where I go, I've always been announced for Minot, North Dakota. So Northern Wrestling has events roughly 2 to 3 months, every 2 to 3 months, and they're pretty big events here in Minot. We do 2 night events, Friday and Saturdays, and they're pretty big. We usually draw 300 to 400 people, give or take. So you can, for everybody listening out there, you can search Northern Outlaw Wrestling on YouTube and find countless matches. Me, there's the King of Throwdown, Venom, Darren Corbin, the Anarchist, Eric Cannon. There's all kinds of guys that come out here to North Dakota. We've had guys come up here from St. Louis, Nebraska, Tennessee. We had a couple guys up here a few years ago that came up with Rudy Charles. So, people, not just fans, but wrestlers out there know about Northern Outlaw Wrestling in North Dakota, and people want to come here. I'm blessed to be a part of this, and I'm very grateful to the owners of the company that, they want to put me on their card every time. So, I thank them for that. And I thank all the fans here in North Dakota for keeping indie pro wrestling alive up here. It's not very common that indie companies can say, hey, we've been around for 5, 6 years. I mean, the rate isn't that high typically. You know what I mean? So
That is great to hear. The fact that this company has become a huge following, and it shows that you know that's what I'm talking about as it pertains to support your local indie pro wrestling show near you. Everybody, it just shows that hey, it's all about the word of mouth. It's all about spreading the word. It's all about letting your friends know that there's more to wrestling than what you see on TV. And all the wrestlers you see on TV, how did they get their start? Was in the indies. Well,
exactly.
some had to go through other phases, things of that sort. But a lot of them, at some point of their careers, got started in the indies, and I applaud Northern Outlaw Wrestling for still standing strong and to have that big of a fan base.
Yeah, that's great. We got a event coming up. Actually, Northern Outlaw Wrestling has trial by fire coming up November 15th and 16th. So they've actually, it's crazy because they actually dropped the price of tickets this time just for fan appreciation. So, you know, we may have more people in the crowd this time due to that, or it's pretty wild. Up here in North Dakota, I don't know, we're pretty much national talk. I mean, not talking just wrestling, but the economy up here is wild. You know, it's just, I mean, people are flocking to our state, so there's a lot of people here now from all over the place. And when they hear wrestling's in town, they come, and you know, they want to have a good time and everything. So the fact that we're dropping prices when really we don't need to, it's not like we're doing it to bring more people in, but it's just fan appreciation, you know. I mean, save a buck, come watch the same 2 nights of 3 hours of wrestling. I mean, you cannot go to a movie for that price, you know. So
That's awesome, man, and it's definitely a must see for all y'all out there in the North Dakota area. Make sure y'all check that out. Savage will be in action, and root for the dude because I say so. Babyface heel don't matter. Root for the man. So let me ask you this: not just being a wrestler, but being a student of the game and all. Do you, by any chance, watch your own wrestling matches on YouTube or other video websites? And if so, do you critique on what you done well and critique on what you could do better?
I do, and that's exactly why I do watch my own matches. Is I'm my biggest critique. I'll watch a match and see something where, you know, something could have went differently on my part, and you know, that's just how you learn. You know, it's part of how you learn. You know, it's not, you know, you know, I don't think I have a match out there that I don't see something that I didn't like. But you know what? I don't think there's a pro wrestler, whether they're in the indies or whether they're in the big time, that feels that way, because being the type of person that I am, I can have something absolutely perfect and still think that I've done better. So, and that's what keeps me going, and I think that's what keeps a lot of the guys in pro wrestling going, in any sport, period. You know, it's that drive to want to be the best, be better, you know, and just keep on getting better and getting better. You know, it's an endless cycle.
What I respect the most about wrestlers in general is just the hard work and the dedication that they do to entertain, because I mean that's what they do at the end of the day, and fans cheer, boo, whatever the case may be. Here's the one thing that bothers me about wrestling fans, and not all wrestling fans, but just wrestling fans in general, is that people can sometimes be nitpicky. It's kind of like other sports, like in football, like you make a bad pass and fans want to scream and yell, "Oh no, what are you doing?" But in a wrestling case, they look at a wrestler and maybe they slip or whatever, or do it, or not do a move properly or whatever. I mean, wrestling is just so fast paced, and you just got to keep up and just go along with the show or whatever. Do you think that wrestling fans in general tend to be a little too nitpicky when they be watching these shows?
In this day and age, some can be. I don't think I wouldn't generalize all wrestling fans being that way, but me being a fan, I got in the business, and you know, I still am a fan and always will be. I'm nitpicky too, you know, when I watch stuff on TV. But you know what? They're obviously doing something right because they're on TV. So that's my whole thing. You know, I think a lot of the times we all just need to sit back and watch it and enjoy it for what it is. Whether it's, you know, one thing I noticed I do, and I'm gonna point out one of my negatives that I do as I watch wrestling as a fan, is, you know, I always want it to be like it used to be. and why can't it be like the old days when they had, all the cartoon characters and all that? But then I realized, the business has changed. Things are different. It's gone down a different path, and it is what it is now, and I love pro wrestling for what it is and what it was and what it has been and what it will be. So, I think sometimes a lot of people just want something to complain about, to be honest with you. That maybe that's the enjoyment they get out of watching wrestling, because it gives them something to complain about. But that's anything in life. I mean, that's my opinion on it. I don't know.
That's absolutely true. I mean, it's like wrestling is like any other sport. They see something that people may do wrong or not doing properly or correctly, they're gonna point it out like, hey, that's not how it's supposed to be done. It's just athletes are just look, they're gonna have their flaws, but at the end of the day, they are the one that putting their bodies on the line, not the quote unquote fans. So unless they think they can do a better job, just leave the wrestling to the professionals.
Right. Yeah. No, you're 100% right. I mean, this this business is not easy on the body, and that's a plain fact. And you got a lot of critics out there about pro wrestling, and they think what they think and say what they, but it's tough. And for people that don't understand what it takes to do certain things, and they think it could have been better this way, or they should have did this or that. It ain't all that easy, and a lot of people that have never done it before, I would like to see them try, because then every fan's going to be that, So that's just that's what I got to say to a lot of those fans that kind of think that they want to call out everything that wasn't supposed to go right in their mind. You know what I mean? So
if these quote unquote fans or whatever, if they really want to give it a try, they need to be in the actual professional wrestling ring with a wrestler. Give it a good 5-7 minutes. Let he or she roughen you up a little bit, and maybe you'll have a different tone when it's all said and done. Don't just go to some backyard wrestling nonsense. Just go to a real ring with a real trained professional, and see if those people still have those opinions when it's all said and done.
good.
So you can follow this man Savage on Twitter at Savage_Wrestler, and again, like the Northern Outlaw Wrestling on Facebook. Check out the upcoming shows that Savage already mentioned. And Savage, it was great chatting with you again. I want to thank you for being on the show. Best success goes.
Hey, can I just say a couple more things here? I got a couple dates coming up. Can I?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, October 18th, Born Champions Wrestling at the Mirage Bar and Grill in New Brighton, Minnesota. Bell time 7:30. October 26th, Thief River Falls, Minnesota, 7 p.m. Northern Star Entertainment, National Guard Armory. Northern Outlaw Wrestling, I already announced that one, 15th and 16th of November. That's at the Vegas Motel in Minot, North Dakota, 7 p.m. And then we've got November 30th, Northern Star Entertainment at the National Guard Armory in Thief River Falls, once again, Minnesota. And then February 1st, I know that one's quite a ways down the line, but I am on this date already. Wrestling Gone Wild, National Guard Armory, 6:30 p.m. is the bell time. So promoter out there is Tom Burdick. I was just there actually I believe I was there when I talked to you last Saturday. So that's where I was last Saturday. And let me tell you what, those fans out there in Hibbing, Minnesota, they are something else. It's wild out there. So, but hey, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Great chatting with you again, Savage. Best of success goes out to you, and to all the Northern Outlaw wrestlers out there. I mean, I'll be happy to interview y'all. I mean, just message me, and we'll make it happen. You have a great night, Savage.
All right. Hey, you too now.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That was Savage all the way from North Dakota joining me here for a second time this